Hello, hello. You're listening to Accio Politics, a Harry Potter reread podcast focusing on politics in the wizarding world. I am Adri, one of your hosts and a recovering English major.
Yes, and I am Helene, your other host, producer, and as I like to be called from, time and time again, professional time waster.
How does one become a professional time waster, Helene?
Well, you got to start by playing a lot of video games.
Okay. Check.
And then you just kind of like make that your personality.
Okay, not there yet, but like probably on my way.
And then you just like make sure that you take pride in it. And then the fact that you're playing a video game instead of like doing chores or spending time with friends or sleeping.
Okay, so but what about like counterpoint? What if you're a person who would rather like lay on the couch with your dogs? This is theoretical, obviously.
Yeah, totally.
Instead
not anybody
of doing not anyone, any of us knows. Certainly not that the listeners listen to right now. And lay on the couch with the dogs under a blanket and just cuddle and maybe take a nap or two.
I'd say that's more amateur time waster, but you're getting there.
Okay. Well, I'll tell my friend that. I'll pass that along.
Yeah, pass it along for me, will ya?
Thank you for that that insight into how to become a professional time waster. Yeah. I now have another purpose in my life. Speaking of purposes in life, and before we get into what we're going to be talking about today, I want to propose another purpose in life for myself.
Okay.
This is either a genius or a demented idea. That's for listeners to figure out, or maybe we'll figure out in execution. All right, I want to start a conspiracy theory, but not just any conspiracy theory, a pro-vax conspiracy theory.
What?
Hear me out. Okay, so you know how like all these conspiracy theories are like anti-vaccination, like big pharma is after you, and like there's all these side effects they're hiding from you, like this is like a really badly written movie for like, I don't know, TV. Right? So my counterpoint to that, to combat like this misinformation, is to put it into the facebook.com that the COVID vaccine actually increases your fertility. And like Big Pharma doesn't want you to know that because they want the Democrats to like outbreed the Republicans.
Ooh. Actually, I mean, I know a lot more people that are pregnant right now than I have in the past.
I mean, of course. I mean, me being one of them.
I met
geriatric pregnancy.
I met another one this weekend. Well, I knew this girl before, but I didn't know she was pregnant. This weekend, and she's literally right in between you and my other friend in terms of due dates. She was like telling me her due dates and her timelines and stuff, and I was like, oh my God, I have two other friends that are pregnant right now, and you were literally like right in the middle of their two timelines. It was very strange.
Beautiful. So what, this came about because Seth and I were talking about like Thanksgiving and how it's usually better if his parents come and visit us instead of us visiting the extended family, because I don't want to hear like the let's go Brandon, which actually means fuck Joe Biden. I don't want to hear that. That's another thing that maybe you didn't know about, listeners. Like there's a there's a conservative phrase called that people say they say let's go Brandon, and that's their way of saying fuck Joe Biden because they have no balls. When we said fuck Donald Trump, we just said it. We didn't come up with a phrase to disguise it because come on, guys, whatever. Anyway, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any conspiracy theories about the COVID vaccine. And I was like, what if, Seth? What if? Hear me out. We just tell them like, oh my God, we just couldn't have children before. Then we both got vaccinated. Bam, Adri got pregnant.
Yeah. I mean, But I guess like we have to question if that's the core like desire of Republicans. Do Republicans just want to have children?
Yeah,
Because like
I mean, the
what if
evangelical
they
Christians. Okay, wait. But the evangelical Christians, right, who are the most anti-vax part of the core of the conservative part of the GOP, right? They're all about outbreeding people. Like they're all about outbreeding and spreading the gospel. So if you want to convince them, this is going to give you a leg up. I don't care how you do it. We just need to stop this panini. That's all I want.
stop the panini? No, I mean maybe they'll just see it as another form of birth control. Oh, like you don't want to get pregnant? Cool, then just don't get the vaccine.
And then you die, and that's fine with me. Like, honestly, if you're anti-vaxxer and you don't want to get the fucking vaccine and you die, that's on you, not on me.
Sure. Yep. Fair.
Sorry, guys. But like,
yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here. I just got my booster shot, so
I'm so happy for you. I'm happy for all of us who were able to get our booster shots.
Me too. I'm fully boosted.
Because I do not want to, like, I'm already terrified of dying in childbirth, to be honest with you. I do not need another layer of, like, fear. I've read too many Victorian novels, Helene. That's my problem.
You realize we're not living in Victorian times, right?
Yeah, but I do live in Texas, which is like, what's the difference?
There's still been advances in medicine, even in Texas.
Even in Texas. Okay, but like you were talking to a highly anxious person.
I know
you need to understand your audience here.
I know this, yes. You really should not be, of all the things you should be worrying and anxious about right now, I feel like dying in childbirth is not one of them.
You know, whatever. I do know that pregnancy and COVID do not mix well, and a lot of women have died of it. And have their children.
I know someone who had a baby a year ago today. I think it's actually his first birthday, either today or yesterday, who had full on COVID, like full on symptoms when she gave birth. And both she and the baby are alive and healthy and happy today. And it wasn't a great experience. Lucky. It wasn't a great experience for her. It was an awful childbirth experience. She was in a lot of pain, but she is alive.
Okay, no, and she got really lucky, and I'm glad that she's alive. But there are a lot of women who have died in premature labor when they get COVID before their way before their due date. So they go into premature labor, the baby dies, and then they die. So let's not, please. That's why I got my booster, because I want to live.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have your booster, so that should definitely help in easing that anxiety, I think.
But also, let's end the panini. People get vaccinated. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here. If you listen to Occupolitics, you're probably like, not an anti-vaxxer. And if you are, well,
don't.
Thanks for listening, I guess, but please get vaccinated. I don't know what else to say. All right, so today's single focus and what we're going to be talking about is chapter 15, The Unbreakable Vow of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
I hope that's what we're talking about, because that is what I prepared for.
It'd be awkward if you didn't prepare for this one. It'd be like, you're talking about something that happens like in the chapter before or after. I'd be like, Helene, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put it past me, but here we are. In case
you wouldn't put it past me, honestly.
Yeah, honestly. But in case you guys forgot, chapter 15 of Half-Blood Prince is the one where Ron and Hermione continue to fight while Harry is stuck in the middle, as, he is. In the meantime, Harry is being heavily pursued by Romelda Vane along with many other women, and he decides to ask Luna Lovegood to Slughorn's party. And at the party, Draco is caught sneaking around the halls, so Harry follows him, not to anyone's surprise, and Snape to try and spy on their private conversation.
Harry is such a messy bitch who loves drama, and I love him for it.
He both loves and hates drama, to be honest.
No, he loves other people's drama, hates his own.
Yeah.
If it affects him, not here for it, right? Like if it affects his quality of life, not here for it.
Yeah, like he just is sitting there begging for this whole Ron, Hermione, Lavender, McLaggen thing to end. But like ooh, Draco's doing something shady. Gotta go figure that shit out right away.
He's basically a producer in The Real Housewives, if I'm being honest.
Sure. I haven't seen it, but sure.
But sure. Adrian, just shut up and let's get to the politics. Fine, Helene. I will get to the politics.
I didn't say it.
I can read subtext. I am talented that way. This is the section where we're going to be talking about what politic we thought defined the chapter as we thought back on what we just read. Helene, what was your politic?
So the politic that I chose for this chapter is exploitation. Exploitation is the act of selfishly taking advantage of someone or group of people in order to profit from them or otherwise benefit oneself. That is the definition of exploitation. So basically, I chose this chapter this politic for this chapter because a lot of people use other people for their own benefit in some way or another in this chapter.
Okay.
So, for example, Hermione uses Cormac to make Ron jealous. And Ron is using Lavender not only to make Hermione jealous, but also to feel better about himself and prove something to himself and to his peers.
And to prove something to Ginny, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. To himself and to Ginny, because he's obviously feeling still very, I don't know, wounded by what Ginny said to him in the last chapter. And then Slughorn is exploiting Harry to gain fame and respect by association with Harry. And you might go as far to say that Harry maybe is using Luna to get out of being pursued by women that he's not interested in.
Well, the real question is, right, would he have asked Luna to go with him had he not been painted into a corner, right? And the answer is, of course not. So yes, he is using her.
Yeah, he totally wanted to go alone. He didn't want to go with anyone. And he only asked Luna because people were not leaving him alone. So yeah, it feels mean because I don't think Harry meant it to be in a bad way using her.
Of course not. But you could still be using someone and not have ill intent.
Yeah. Yeah. He really just wants people to stop trying to get him to ask them to the dance. So he just asks her to get it over with. And surprisingly, the only relationship that doesn't seem to be involving exploitation in this chapter was Draco and Snape.
I think maybe Draco could be using Snape a little bit. He uses Snape's unwillingness to punish him, right? Against Snape.
Okay, yeah, I guess there could be an argument for that. I don't know, it just seemed Draco doesn't want Snape's help. So it's hard for him to be using him when he is actively telling him to stop trying to help.
Well, yeah, he doesn't want his help, but he wants his protection.
It's arguable. He is going to get his protection, whether he wants it or not. He seems to kind of just not want any help or protection at all.
Because he's having his rebellious phase.
Yes, exactly. And Snape isn't using Draco. He's genuinely I guess he's maybe using him to make sure that the unbreakable vow doesn't get broken and that he doesn't die himself. But he's genuinely looking out for him and trying to help him and wants him to succeed on his quest because he knows that Dumbledore's going to die either way. So yeah, that's why I chose exploitation. What did you choose, Adri? I say as I look at the doc.
I chose status politics. So there are a few areas that I, as you mentioned, researched for in preparing for this politic. There is a article called "Status Matters in a World of World Politics" by Deborah Welch Larson and Alexei Shvenko. And they talk about how status does not derive automatically from the possession of power resources. It is dependent on recognition from others. This means that status is a perceptual and social phenomenon. So what they're talking about is it doesn't matter how much money you have if other people do not recognize that power and status, that power or influence, you have no status. Then Damage Magazine had another article about status politics and talked about how a status system involves at least two people, one who confers prestige and one who receives it. Insofar as the system is composed of groups rather than persons, the prestige receiver must be placed as a member of the prestigeful group by those who confer prestige. A sign of position can be a status symbol only if it is used with some regularity as a means of placing socially the person who makes it. Status groups tend to think, and this is not from any research, right? This is just now that I've put that out of the way, right? Status groups tend to think alike and value the same things, which makes them vote the same way across multiple class structures. Like if we think of evangelical Christians and the GOP, they vote, pretty much GOP across varying socioeconomic levels, but they're part of the same status group as evangelical Christians. In this chapter, we see Harry's status, even though he really doesn't want to have it, by being chased by these ladies. Mm-hmm. Ron's new status as a man who is nogging a woman all over school. Hermione's status as a snagging McLaggen for the party. Professor Slughorn's continual preoccupation with his status and only inviting well-connected or talented individuals to his parties. Draco's preoccupation with his status in front of Lord Voldemort and wanting to make sure that Snape doesn't snag his status away. Here we see perfectly how class and status are not the same thing, because Snape has a higher status with Lord Voldemort than Draco does, even though Draco and his family, right, is from a higher social class than Professor Snape.
Yeah, I gotta say the main thing that stood out to me and when you were going through this is all of the things you listed out in this chapter. All of the women's statuses seem to be dependent on men.
Because the patriarchy, Helene.
Yeah. I'm like, like Hermione has status because of McLaggen, and Lavender has status because of Ron. Like.
Yeah, and Lavender Brown is super nice to Hermione once she realizes, right, that she's dating McLaggen, and now it's like, oh my God, let's talk about everything we know about Hermione Granger, which they wouldn't have done before.
Yeah, I got to ask you, one distinction that I was having trouble with when you were kind of, giving your examples and stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
Is what is the difference between status and power? Like, what differentiates status and power? Okay, I just looked up difference between status and power. I'm trying to like wrap my head around it. And the first thing that comes up is we define power as the ability to get what one wants, even when others resist. Status is defined as a position in a group based on esteem or respect. This primary outcome of status is influence, a change in the attitudes or behaviors of other without threat of punishment or promise of reward.
Okay. But influence is a form of power, right? Like, so if you are conferred status in a group, right? Like, there are things that Snape gets away with in Lord Voldemort's circle that no other Death Eater could get away with.
Right.
And that's because of his status.
Right.
That is conferred to him by Lord Voldemort, which is like the most in of the in group. But no one else can give Snape that status but Lord Voldemort, right? Like, it has to be recognized by Lord Voldemort. Bellatrix cannot even lower Snape's status, even though she's part of the same group.
Right.
Because she is below him in like the chain of command status-wise.
So this one's on businessinsider.com. It says, status is an index of the social worth that others ascribe to an individual or group, while power is best conceptualized as control over critical resources. And it says, interestingly, although power and status are often thought of two sides of the same coin, they in fact have opposite effects on the fairness of people's behavior. So status is like social worth and power is control. So
yeah, I have a hard time like untangling then how you can have status and not power, because status is how much society thinks you're worth, and inherently if people think you're worth a lot, then you have more power.
I don't think you can have power without status, but I think you can have status without power.
Okay.
I think. I have to sit on it for a little bit longer. But
But anyway, what we're talking about here is not necessarily the power dynamics. It's about how people are preoccupied with status in this chapter. And again, Harry is the only fucking one who's like, but I don't want this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like even Trelawney is preoccupied with her status because Firenze is still teaching.
Yeah. The only time that we ever get to see, I don't know if it's get to see, but the only time we ever actually see Harry at all really preoccupied with status is like, and then this might be a movieism too, I can't fully remember, but when he was like, but I am the chosen one, you know, like.
Yeah, and I think it might be a movieism, right?
Yeah.
Like I really think it might be.
Yeah, like he wants the recognition for just like 1 second, you know, like, but I am. And there was a part earlier in this book where he was like, Petrificus Totalis, like underneath the invisibility cloak on the train after Malfoy broke his nose, and he did like have that one fleeting thought where he was like, surely someone like has to be wondering where's the famous Harry Potter, but then he like punished himself for having that thought afterwards because he was like, oh no thank you.
He was like, oh gross, like I am this person now.
Yeah. So yeah, Harry is definitely someone who status does not matter to him at all.
Well, enough about status and its definition. Let's go into our deep dive and tell me all about how you see exploitation in this chapter with your selected quote.
The quote that I chose for exploitation is so. Oh, I've just escaped. I mean, I've just left Cormac, she said. Under the mistletoe, she added an explanation as Harry continued to look questioningly at her. Serves you right for coming with him, he told her severely. I thought he'd annoy Ron most, said Hermione dispassionately. I debated for a while about Zacharias Smith, but I thought on the whole. You considered Smith? Said Harry, revolted. Yes, I did, and I'm starting to wish I'd chosen him. McLaggen makes Grop look like a gentleman. Let's go this way. We'll be able to see him coming. He's so tall. ... So yeah, I mean, this just outlines, you know, the extent to which Hermione was using McLaggen. It was solely just to make Ron jealous. She considered someone else, but then decided to go with the option that would make Ron the most jealous. Yeah, she definitely used him 100%. I mean, we all know this. So.
And, you know, that has like an unexpected consequence, which is like her being sexually harassed all over the party.
Yeah, it sucks. Poor Hermione, but also sucks. Like poor Hermione, but like you also did something. It's probably a little bit of karma, a little bit to.
No, but she did not ask for it. Let's not.
No, it's karma in the fact like she's using someone. So like maybe she shouldn't have the best time at the party, but she definitely shouldn't be sexually harassed no matter what.
My God, that man!
Like it's like I'm not mad that she's not enjoying herself, is what I should say.
My God, look at you!
I love you, Hermione. I do. But you know, using people isn't cool. I mean, everybody's doing it in this chapter, but still.
Well, that sounded a little bit sexual, but I'm gonna let it just pass.
Oh, that's not what I meant. Everyone's using people is what I meant in this chapter.
Well, for me, the quote that exemplified the status politics in this chapter is this beautiful moment between Parvati and Hermione. Are you going out with him then? Asked Parvati, wide-eyed. Oh, yes, didn't you know? Said Hermione with a most un-Hermione-ish giggle. No, said Parvati, looking positively agog at this piece of gossip. Wow, you like your Quidditch players, don't you? First Crumb, then McLaggen? I like really good Quidditch players, Hermione corrected her, still smiling. Well, see you. Got to go and get ready for the party. She left. At once, Lavender and Parvati put their heads together to discuss this new development with everything they had ever heard about McLaggen and all they had ever guessed about Hermione.
God, that was such a good burn. I like really good Quidditch players. Which is why I'm going out with McLaggen and not Ron. Yeah.
But she's like really reveling in her status change.
Yeah.
And also, you know, doing it to kind of, you know, needle Ron, but you know.
Oh, totally.
A girl can multitask.
Yeah. No. it was it was just so weird to see Hermione and not be Hermione for a minute, you know?
It's probably all the hormones, you know?
Yeah. Right, exactly.
I mean, as someone who, with her geriatric pregnancy, has been going through a second sort of puberty
Right, right, right.
with all these hormones coursing through my body, I have not been myself many a times.
Yeah, I mean, imagine being 16 again and going
Blech.
through all this sexual awakening for the first time.
Too much. It's too much for me. No, thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Please no. Never. Like, I do not want to be a teenager ever again.
Yeah, no thanks. I'll pass.
All right. So for you, who was the character who was like the politics of exploitation?
Yeah, I mean, the quote definitely had me thinking of Hermione because I feel like Hermione's is probably like the most obvious use of exploitation. But in the end, I had to ask myself, like, who do I think is benefiting the most from their exploitation? Um, and with that, I went with Ron because Ron's use of lavender is not only benefiting him by making Hermione jealous, which is what she's doing to him, and that's the only reason that Hermione is using McLaggen. Um, but it's also benefiting him by making him feel better about himself and giving him that reputation he's always wanted. While Hermione does have like the benefit, I guess, like the bonus that it's improving her reputation. Like,
But
she
that's not
wasn't.
what she's after.
Yeah, she didn't want that. She wasn't like, that wasn't the goal for her. It just kind of happened, and
That's
she's not
just
like,
a bonus.
yeah, she's not like reveling in it. It's not something that she was looking for. It just like came with what she was ended up doing. But like Ron is specifically like doing this with Lavender because not because he likes her. Like, I mean, he likes her. I don't think so. I really don't think he has any
I don't
romantic
think he did.
feelings.
I think it's more of the like, she's available. I don't dislike her. Okay.
Yeah. He likes kissing. He likes snogging, we'll say, but I don't know if he really likes Lavender. But he likes how she makes him feel. She likes how he makes him look to other people. So yeah, that's why I chose Ron. What about
All
you
right.
for status?
For me, I mean, I had so many people to pick in this chapter, but I had to like obviously just pick one, not all of them. And I was
What?
thinking Drake, you know, right? The rules precluded me from picking all of them. I was thinking Draco the most because he's the one who is, instead of letting like Snape help him because he thinks he's going to take the status away from him,
Mhm.
he's just like, no, I'm going to use occlumency against you because you cannot stop me. I am going to get this status all on my own, and I am going to do this for my family, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and he's just so preoccupied with that. Even when he's talking to Slughorn, like he's being such a fucking suck up because he wants the status of that too, even though he just definitely was lying about wanting to be in the party.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that Draco's a good choice for that, for sure.
And throughout the book, how do you see exploitation?
Well, Slughorn's the main example, like the big one that is obvious. He exploits everybody for everything. He's using people to make himself look and feel better to others. But the less obvious one, I think, is probably Dumbledore, because he is using Harry to a point, to achieve his goals, and by like not fully confiding in him and not telling him the full truth about, what's going to have to happen to Harry for Voldemort to be officially defeated. Yeah, I think most of the fandom would agree that Dumbledore uses Harry. So
What?
I
This
know.
is news to me. Oh my God.
Right. What about you?
Well, like you, mine is centered on the Slughorn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we really can't untie status from the events of this book, especially when we think about Slughorn, right? Who is continually preoccupied by status? Like,
Yeah.
who does he have? Who can he invite? Who will he shun? Who is he going to brag about? Like he's constantly thinking about his circle, and he's the one conferring status to the students so that someday the students confer back status to him. So it's kind of like a really vicious circle.
Right. Yeah.
Ugh,
Someone else who,
he's really made something out of nothing. That's Slughorn.
yeah, yeah, totally. And someone else who I think might be like an honorable mention is maybe Romilda Vane.
Okay.
Because I think that she is really only interested in Harry because of the status it would give her to be with him.
Oh, yeah. Any of the ladies who are chasing Harry at this point in the book, right? Like,
Yeah.
and threatening him with a good old love potion are not interested in Harry the person. They're interested in Harry the celebrity, the status that comes with dating Harry.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Like, do you think they'd want to like talk about his trauma? Pretty sure they won't.
No. Although not sure that he would want that given his history with Cho.
Okay, but no. She was talking about her trauma.
Yeah, but she wanted him to relive his trauma with Cedric.
Okay, but what if he wanted to open up?
Yeah, well then yeah, they wouldn't be interested in that for sure. But I don't think he would be
Also, they
interested in
wouldn't want
opening up.
like yeah, well maybe he's not like, that wanting to like share that with anyone, right? But
Yeah.
like they wouldn't want like the bad stuff that comes along with it. Like they
No.
just are interested in the status.
No, totally. Which is why Jenny is perfect for him as well, because she's kind of like lived it and like she can understand what he's going through without having to like talk about it, which we know he doesn't love to do. So
Yeah, I mean,
and she's
I get it.
understanding of like things that other girls might not be understanding of when it comes to that
Or
stuff.
other people, period, right?
Yeah.
Let's move on to Dementors and Chocolate, our portion of this of the episode where we talk about the things we fucking hated and the things we liked in the chapter.
Just fucking hated, but like just liked.
Well, sometimes the chocolates are like a little bit bittersweet. It's not like super delicious sometimes,
True, but Dementors always suck.
Yeah, Dementors always fucking hated. Like, it is what it is. Last week, mine was a word. Imagine that.
What? So what is yours this week? What is your Dementor
Okay.
this week?
My Dementor this week is the author's decision to portray girls as desperate and willing to resort to anything to get one boy's attention, even if that means that they're enchanting them. This seems like a whole ass theme in this book, and I'm not here for it.
Wow, it looks like we have a similar theme in our Dementors, huh? Because my Dementor also surrounds the love potions.
Okay, yeah, but like it's I understand why yours is a little bit more targeted. Mine is about like the attitude of like, of course girls would do this because they're so silly.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like love potions are a very like gendered thing in the book.
And we'll talk about that in our Patreon segment.
Okay. Do you want me to not expand and so we can keep it for?
I mean, you can
Patreon?
mention it right now, and that's fine. But like, let's keep most of the good parts for our patrons.
My one observation was that so far it seems we only see women thinking about and actually using love potions. We have not seen a man.
And like the only time that we've seen boys, right, chase after girls is because of the Vila, and that is because the Vila are enchanting, right? Like there's always like there's this like misogynistic course through the book about like it's always girls after boys, and if the boys are after the girls, they must have something magical about them that attracts them. Ugh.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just
yeah. I mean, we don't really. You're right, and we don't really see men pursue girls very often. I mean, Harry pursued Cho.
But he's an exceptional man, So.
Yeah, that's why he's the best. I mean, and I don't think we can say that Ron pursued Hermione because he didn't. He just kind of sat there silently and like wished he liked her, wished she liked him, and like wished that they would just.
Well, like he just kind of wore down her patience. Let's be real. Like it is what it is.
That's true. So yeah, my chocolate is also surrounding love potions, but it's basically the nonchalant like discussion surrounding them and the fact that like it doesn't place any emphasis at all on the fact that they're actually used to take away someone's agency. They're just talked about like, oh, haha, so many people have like talked about how they're going to give you a love potion, Harry. Oh, haha. And Harry's like, oh, girls, that's so silly. Like,
Oh, they're just going to roofie you. It's not a big deal.
It's like, this is not okay. Shouldn't you be like worried that someone's going to like basically force you to love them? Like, that's not cool.
Like, clearly no one had like that conversation with Harry or any fucking one in this book about like, don't leave your drink unattended at parties. You know, like, do you know how much fear was put into this anxious soul about that?
Honestly, yeah, it was just the fact that they were just Hermione and Harry had that whole conversation. It was just like, oh, haha, love potions, like whatever. No, like this is like serious, bro.
Let's pivot to our chocolate because I need a lift. I need to pick me up. I need to get out of this doom and gloom.
Okay, what was your chocolate then? Tell us.
Harry asking Luna to the party and making sure that it was clear that it's just as friends so that he doesn't like hurt her afterwards or leads her on or anything like that. Yes,
yeah,
Harry,
and
what
like
a king.
That and that she was like so like
She was so cool about it. Yeah.
Yeah. She was like, I'd love to go as friends, you know, like not, oh, just friends or like, oh, wow, thanks for like making me feel like, you know,
well, I think that Harry had read their friendship well, but he also didn't want any misunderstandings. And he is a king for that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really considerate of him.
What about you, Helene?
Mine also surrounds Luna. And basically the fact that she made me feel really seen in this chapter. Because she points out something that I have known forever.
Oh, really? Have you?
Yes. And that Harry doesn't argue with her about. He just kind of like silently agrees that Ron has a tendency to be unkind. I will cite my sources here. In the book, it says, he says very funny things sometimes, doesn't he? Said Luna as they set off down the corridor together. But he can be a bit unkind. I noticed that last year. And like, yes, thank you for saying it. Like, he can be. And I think that's one reason why I'm not a Ron fan, because I am a Hufflepuff and I really value kindness and being kind to people. And Ron just seems to have that he lacks in that a bit. And it's not the worst thing. Like, there are very good people out there who, you know, can sometimes be unkind. But I just felt very seen by Luna for pointing that out.
When you feel seen, that is always a chocolate, you know?
Yeah. Thank you, Luna.
I want to thank, and we would like to thank, our patrons for making this show possible. We couldn't be doing this without you. If you would like to help us keep this show going, hop on over to patreon.com/occhiopolitics to support this woman-led podcast.
Heck yeah. $2 a month on Patreon is going to get you bonus content for every episode, like the one that we're going to be talking about later this episode, which we'll get into. And then $5 and $10 a month tiers are going to get you physical rewards every 3 months, like things that you can actually hold in your hand and show your friends and make people jealous with.
I mean, super exclusive. Can't get it anywhere else.
Very true.
Today's patron exclusive content is a discussion of love potions and consent and all the implications of the patriarchy. Because yes, why not?
I feel like this is going to be a nice heated discussion. I like this. You're not heated between each other. Like, we're not going to argue.
No. It's going to be heated against the patriarchy, yes, as it always is.
It's going to be full of emotion because I have so much to say about the patriarchy.
As I've said before recording, Helene, this is going to be a spicy episode.
Yes, excited. Love is spicy, isn't it?
Because love is spicy.
Oh, yes.
But you know what else was spicy? Last week's question and some of the answers we got. So, last week's spicy question was, do you think Hermione's physical attack on Ron for kissing Lavender was justified. Why or why not?
Yes. So we got a couple answers this week. The first from Amanda V on Twitter. They said, I do not think Ron deserved it simply because he was attracted to another person. However, I did not feel bad for Ron because of his behavior towards others throughout the 7 books. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Girl,
I
I'm
had
with
to
you.
laugh in the middle of that.
Why?
I'm so sorry. Because it's hilarious. It's a hilarious answer. Like, sure, it wasn't justified, but did I feel bad for Iran? Fuck no.
Yeah, no, like this was
this.
perfect. Like this is exactly what I feel, right? Like, yeah, I don't think Hermione should have physically attacked him, but like I don't feel bad for the guy.
Amanda,
Like,
you made me laugh like just uncontrollably on the podcast. Thank you for that.
yes. And so A Fiore on Instagram said, yes, it was justified. And when contacted for further comment as to why, they just wrote because. So there.
These are the best answers ever.
Yeah.
Also, how you phrased it, like when contacted for further comment, like
Yeah.
we are journalists.
Yes, we are. I needed the answer to this question. Yes, and then no meme Wonderland. Oh, I'm really sorry if I said that wrong. On Twitter said no. Inflicting bodily harm is never okay. Is it understandable? Yes. Hermione is a teenager, probably very tired and emotional. Still doesn't make it okay. It is Ron's decision whom he wants to kiss, and while it's not his best decision, and while he certainly is being a prick a lot, that does not lead to Hermione having any right to punish him for it. If it were Hermione being attacked by Ron after kissing Krum, it would be no question that that's not okay. Ron gets criticized a lot for how he handles that situation without bodily harming Hermione. Also, Ron has the marks from the birds hacking at him for quite some time. Had Hermione slapped him in the face, I might be more sympathetic towards Hermione, but she tends to go a bit overboard. Seen also when she, quote-unquote, punishes Marietta with that pimple curse.
Valid. Also a great answer that made me laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
it's just
I
like these answers are both insightful and hilarious, and that is the best for me. Best of both worlds.
Yes. So far I'm seeing a trend. People are like, yeah, she probably shouldn't have done it, but like Ron kind of deserved it.
But also, like, Ron is not super sympathetic in this situation. I want you to know that.
Yeah. But I do like the point that they make here about how, like, if it were Ron if Ron physically attacked Hermione for kissing Krum, like, that totally would not have been okay, and I 100% agree. So, like...
No, and I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah,
that's kind of something we kind of talked about, like, last episode, where it's like, yeah, but he didn't resort to physical violence.
Yeah. So like that's why I thought it was important to call her out on it last chapter, because like physically attacking someone, whether, no matter what their gender is, like that's not cool. Don't do it. Even though like the person is being a dick, sure. Maybe violence is not the answer.
Just maybe, right? Like there are instances.
I mean, I'm a pacifist, so usually my instinct is violence is not the answer ever. But there are definitely people who would agree that sometimes violence is the answer to things. I might not be one of those people, but there are people.
I mean, to me, it's like more like self-defense, maybe, Yeah.
The last one that I'm going to read today is from Lopez.Desiree.m on Instagram. And they said, she was jealous and vulnerable, so we feel sympathy for her, but it doesn't justify physical attack.
All right. Yeah. Again, beautifully put.
Yeah. Yep. So thanks,
Thank you so much, listeners. Oh my God, this is the best.
Yeah. I just love the answers. They're so great. Thank you.
Well, for next week, we have a question that is also tied into this chapter, obviously. Do you think love potions should be outlawed in the wizarding world? Why or why not?
Yes. We have a lot to say about love potions, and we want to know what you think about love potions.
Can't wait. I can't wait. Also, I want funny answers too. Thank you. Although our listeners are mostly very funny, so this is just like goes without saying.
Yeah, you guys are just gonna provide that no matter what. So,
well, Helene, we are done with our chapter content for today, which means we get to talk about the media we've been consuming this week. What are you recommending?
I have basically just been nonstop. I alluded to this in the intro, but I've been nonstop playing a new video game. The game isn't new. It's new to me. It's called Hades, and it is as you might have guessed from the name, like it's a Greek mythology lore. You're playing as the son of Hades. His name is Zagreus, and he is trying to escape the underworld and find his mother on the surface. And it is very difficult and extremely frustrating, but also somehow weirdly addicting. And I just have been playing it like nonstop. So I think it's available on all platforms if you like video games. I gotta say this: the main reason I picked this up, my friend has been, recommending this game to me for probably years at this point. And she plays it all the time, and I never thought to actually buy it and play it myself until I started listening to Mike Schubert's new podcast, The Newest Olympian. Because
I need to play back to Percy Jackson somehow.
Well, yes. I mean, Greek mythology is like a love of mine in general, even before I even knew Percy Jackson existed. But in Mike's podcast, I've been listening to it because I also recently read all the Percy Jackson series, and Mike's like pre-knowledge of Greek mythology before reading these books and making this podcast literally just consists of things he learned by playing this video game. And so like literally he doesn't know anything about Greek mythology basically other than that. And so he keeps on bringing up the video game in the podcast, and he keeps talking about how much he loves this game and how cool it is and how like obsessed he is with it. And
so basically, you got influenced by both your friends and Mike.
And like if it was just Mike saying that, like I might not have picked it up because I'm like, okay, cool, he likes this game. But like multiple people at this point have told me about like how much they love it, and like I just had to try it, and now I just can't stop playing it. So yeah, that's consumer. That's like marketing, advertising for you. It works,
it's just they got you on all sides, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then if now I'm perpetuating it. So, Hades video game developer, if you want to sponsor us, feel free. But yeah, if you want to go play the game, it's only like $25 for a video game. That's really not bad at all. And it's on all platforms as far as I'm aware. I have it on the Switch. But you will waste a lot of time playing this game, which I don't think it's a waste. But a lot of other people think that it's a waste of time. I think it's fun and it's worth it.
As long as you think it's fun, that's all that matters, to be honest with you.
Exactly. So
I have not been wasting my time. I have been enjoying my time watching the Great British Bake Off season 9.
Yes, I'm watching it too. I love that. I love it. Can we talk spoilers for a second? Because who do you think is going to win? Because I think I know who's going to win.
Okay. Wait. To me, it's not about who's going to win. Who my favorite person
who's your favorite? Who's your favorite?
Is Giuseppe. Not only does he look like nearly headless Nick.
I love Giuseppe. I think Giuseppe's going to win. I think he's the one that's... I think he's going to win. Yeah. I don't know if he's my favorite, but I think he's going to win. I mean,
he's my favorite because like he's so soft. And not only does he look like nearly headless Nick, which is like, he's so soft. I love him. He's a big old cinnamon roll. And like the headband that he like puts on every time he bakes, I'm like, yes, king. Yes. Protect that bake.
Yes.
And the way he talks about his kids and his wife, like he's just a softie and I love it.
And I love that the Italian won German week, I gotta say.
I know. I was like rooting for him. I was like
Jurgen is awesome. Like Jurgen is very, very, very good. And I did honestly expect him.
He's such a cutie too.
Yeah, I expected him to win German week, honestly, but when the signet or when the
technical challenge.
technical, yeah, I was like, what is it? When the technical was something that he had never heard of or made before, then I was like,
But
okay,
neither
yeah.
had Giuseppe, by the way.
Yeah, no, but like that's why like the reason I thought Jurgen was going to win is because I thought he would be familiar with everything. But when he wasn't familiar with everything, that it just shows who
And
the
you know
better
what I
baker
love about
is.
Giuseppe? I will say he brings like his twist, like his Italian twist to everything, even in German week, right? Like he wasn't trying to fit into a box. He was trying to make it his, and I think that's what brings the extra oomph for him.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of good people on this
Also,
season.
honorable mention to Lizzie. She's one of my favorites too. I don't necessarily think she's gonna win, but I think she's a star. That's it. She's very entertaining to look at, and she and Giuseppe are like BFFs, and I love it.
Yeah, it's just a great season. I mean, all the seasons are great. I love all, but like,
you know what? I was telling Seth last night. I was like, you know what? This early on, like midway through the season, I don't usually like everyone who's left, but this is a pretty good cohort,
Yeah, I really like the people who are left. Yeah.
Also, that guy who's been baking for like 12 months.
Yes, I was just gonna say I can't remember his name. I was gonna say I think the people that are gonna be in the final are definitely Giuseppe, Jurgen, and that guy, but I can't remember his name.
I forgot his name. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, dude. Because you totally listen to this podcast.
Yeah, of course. He totally does.
He did a great job.
Giuseppe also listens to this podcast. How could he not? He looks just like Nearly Headless Nick.
Giuseppe, we love you.
Giuseppe fan club.
Sorry for everyone who doesn't watch Great British Bake Off. This entire conversation was probably very boring for you. Go watch the show. I brought
Harry Potter into it. I was trying my best.
Yes. Go watch it, though, because honestly, Great British Bake Off is one of the best shows on television. I love that show.
Also, I love the hosts. Like Noel and Matt.
See, every time they change hosts, I hate them for a while.
And then love them.
And then eventually they all win me over. Matt hasn't fully won me over yet, but Noel, I fucking love Noel now. I did not like him for the longest time.
Matt already had me because he was in Doctor Who.
Oh, really?
So I was familiar with his work,
Yes. Yeah, like, I don't know. The two original hosts were like so freaking amazing. I love them so much. And then
one of the original hosts has a limited series. I think it's only 2 seasons before she was on Bake Off.
Okay.
With another like British presenter, whatever, and they would go era by era and try that era's food, like they were living it and living in like a house and everything, like they were living that era.
Okay.
I think they're called the Supersizers or something like that. Like I'll find it. And then they would go like to the doctor and everything to see how it affected their health and everything. It was great.
That took a turn. I wasn't expecting that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, the Supersizers eat. So it was Sue who was one of the
Sue. Okay.
And they have the Supersizers go and the Supersizers eat.
Okay. All right. I'll have to look into it. Do you know if it's on like Netflix or something?
It was on Netflix once. So the Supersizers go. They do World War II diets.
Okay.
Restoration England, Victorian England, the 70s, Elizabethan England, and Regency period.
All right. I'll have to look into it. Yeah. The first original 2 hosts were by far my favorite, and then Noel and what's her name? The short girl with the blonde hair.
I forgot her name.
I'm sorry. I also forgot her name. But they took over, and I did not like them for the longest time. And then, right as I was really starting to love the girl, she left. But now I'm like really loving Noel, and Matt still hasn't won me over yet.
I love Noel because he's just like a soft goth.
Yes, and I just love the relationships he has with all the contestants. Like the
banter is amazing.
Yes, he's actually friends with all of them. You can tell he really cares about them. It's very cute.
Season 9, episode 1, when he and Lizzie were wearing almost the exact same outfit. Killed me.
Amazing. And also, I love the running joke that he's a vampire, because he totally is.
Of course he is. Of course.
Just like the one we meet in this chapter, Sanguini.
And I think we're done. Also, like, is Sanguini like Italian? And this also ties back to our love for
I know.
Giuseppe? Who knows?
I was thinking that too. Also, just like it's a weird name, Sanguini, but okay.
Sanguini, panini. It all comes back full circle.
Linguini.
Linguini.
He sounds like pasta. That's what he sounds like.
We're all
Rotini.
full circle here. Anyhow, that's it for today's episode. Please join us next week when we get to talk about Chapter 16 of Half-Blood Prince. This one is titled A Very Frosty Christmas.
Oh, even the chapters are forcing me into Christmas before December.
We haven't had Thanksgiving yet, folks.
I know, guys, don't even get me started. I am not one of those people that's like, November 1st is Christmas. No. I would like to wait to discuss this chapter until December.
But we cannot.
No, we're not going to. But in a perfect world. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this conversation, please take a second to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you happen to be listening to our beautiful voices in your ears at this very moment. As you may know, because we say it every week, this helps new listeners discover the podcast, and it makes your co-hosts very happy. So please do it. Thank you.
Yeah, the most important part of this is making us happy, obviously.
Yeah. Totally.
But until then, politics managed.
Until we're happy.
Until we are happy. I don't know, maybe we need more serotonin. Who knows? Support this show by going to patreon.com/Occhiopolitics. Our patrons keep this show going. You can find us online at Occhiopolitics.com, and we are at Occhiopolitics on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can email us your thoughts at info@Occhiopolitics.com. Leave us a voicemail at 915-996-1699, and you might just hear yourself on the podcast. Adriana Wilson is the founder and creative director of the podcast. Helene Karp is the producer and social media manager. Allison Pullman is the audio wizard and editor who makes us sound so good. Cover art and physical rewards are designed by Adriana Wilson. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are expressly their own and not representative of their employers or associates. Occhiopolitics is part of the MuggleNet family of podcasts. And that's so clearly like violates. My fucking pregnancy brain. I swear to God.
Sorry, what was the question? My cat distracted me. Albus is, I wish I could turn the computer to show you. Like I can't show. He's like right here. Yes. Normally where I had to switch to the different computer and my book is over there where I normally would have been able to reach it. Give me a second.
This will be a great blooper.